Have you noticed that solar panels are kind of everywhere now? This chart shows how much solar energy capacity has gone up globally each year. And this is how much the cost has fallen, turning it from space-age curiosity to a suburban staple. But exactly how did this
Just let the sun shine upon it and you get an electric current.
become this?
It has been a real revolution. It's remarkable.
We are looking literally globally at exponential growth of the manufacturing and deployment of solar panels.
This enormous growth in solar energy shows no signs of slowing down. To put it in perspective, in 2004 it took the world an entire year to install 1 gigawatt of solar capacity. Last year there were single days when that much was installed. But none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for a sparsely populated country famous for its sun and its surf. Meet Martin. He's 77, Australian, more or less retired, and can often be found down at his local beach. Oh, and he just happens to be the person who pretty much invented solar panels as the world knows them.
I'm Martin Green from the University of New South Wales in Sydney, and I've been researching on solar cells for over 50 years and had a bit of success in developing new technology and having it commercialised.
Okay, so a bit is an understatement. First, I have to take you back to when the first satellite with a solar-powered transmitter launches into space.
Project Vanguard scores a bullseye on its third firing at Cape Canaveral.
That was only sort of 4 years after the first efficient silicon solar cell was made. They worked really well. In fact, they worked too well in that they didn't put an off button on the satellite, and the solar cell kept powering that satellite that was sending out radio signals for the next 6 or 7 years, blocking up the airwaves.
Despite the early excitement, by the time the 1960s rolled around, the solar hype had faded. There was an oil boom on, and large, easily accessible fields were being discovered all the time. But then, solar was thrown a lifeline.
What they found was that there was one place where you couldn't rely on oil, and that was in space.
5, 4, we have ignition. All engines are running.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Solar research explodes, but it is still expensive. Very expensive. To cover your home in solar panels would cost the equivalent of more than $3 million. But then
the monsters are dying of thirst. The energy crisis is killing them.
Arab petrostates cut off the supply of oil to the west, causing an energy crisis and a scramble for other options. The US government spends $1 billion on solar research. It creeps into people's everyday lives.
Solar-powered alarm chronograph.
The president even put solar panels on the White House.
It was a very exciting era because of this large program in the US, and countries like Japan and Europe in general also started their own program.
In Australia, the University of New South Wales forms a small solar research team, led by Martin Green.
We need to find a way of making electricity from the sunlight cheaply.
Burdened by few expectations.
One of the nuclear scientists or administrators of that era is on record as saying, you know, the impact of solar would be like a flea on an elephant's back in any energy future. The prospects weren't regarded too highly.
But Martin had an idea to make a solar cell that was more efficient than any other. Here's how it works. Solar panels are made up of lots of solar cells, made from a semiconductor, usually silicon. When sunlight hits the cell, its energy is transferred to electrons in the silicon. Martin's design adds an extra layer to the back.
So this PERC technology, which stands for Passive Emitted Rear Cell Technology, is a technology that reflects electrons off the back of the solar array. So it's in a sense like having a double shot.
This small university lab beat NASA in creating the most efficient solar cell in the world.
We were leading the world from 1983 right up to 2014. So 31 years we held the world record for silicon solar cell performance.
There's a problem though.
The idea that the global solar supply could be built out of a couple of factories in Australia, that was never going to happen.
Solar panels are still expensive to make. That's about to change.
Young mouth face, firm and serene.
China is opening up, sending its best and brightest out into the world.
And one of them ended up in our lab. He just worked his butt off the whole time he was with us. So when students applied to study with us from China, we said, sure, come on over.
There were a lot of hope at the time, especially all young people. We long for the great career, in our life.
We can have a
rather good job with Suntech.
Oh, with Suntech.
Suntech.
Taking what he learnt in Australia, Zhengrong starts Suntech, China's first commercial solar panel manufacturing company.
At the time, my intention was actually quite simple: do my PhD and later on maybe get a tertiary position or professorship in the universities. But sometimes you never know in your life, and sometimes just opportunity pops up, and if you are there and ready, and you can grab them.
Zhengrong became the first private Chinese-based company to list on the New York Stock Exchange in 2005. He became overnight the first solar billionaire.
The floodgates open.
Once the industry got set up in China and financed through listing on US stock exchanges, the US pumped billions of dollars, $7 billion, into the Chinese manufacturing industry.
The title of solar billionaire doesn't last.
We've got a story about a corporate titan who was once China's richest man. Xi Jinping's ambitions have come crashing down to earth.
And neither does Suntech. But the die was cast. Cutthroat competition between ever-growing Chinese manufacturers causes prices to fall and fall.
They've driven the price down in manufacturing by a factor of 100. It's just phenomenal change, absolutely phenomenal change.
In China now, the manufacturing capacity is well over 1 terawatt. 1 gigawatt is a large coal-fired power station. So that's 1,000 large coal-fired power stations a year is what the Chinese industry is capable of manufacturing now. And that number is growing very rapidly.
Which is how we get here. In 2024, about 600 gigawatts of solar capacity was added worldwide, an amount more than 10 times the size of Australia's main electricity grid. It's on track to overtake wind as the primary source of clean electricity and is the cheapest source of energy in the world. But despite all of this, Martin is not a green energy billionaire. For the same reason, you've probably never heard of it.
There's no sort of Elon Musk personality in the photovoltaic department at the University of New South Wales.
He didn't chase patents. He promoted publications and sharing of information. He has contributed to the dissemination of important, meaningful information that has helped industrial experts improve the efficiency of solar panels. By improving the efficiency, they've reduced the cost per watt of solar panels.
Without UNSW and Martin Green's work, it's hard to imagine, and the solar industry become what it is today.
For the man some call the solar godfather, the only way is up.
People used to think I was too optimistic when I give talks about the future of solar back in the old days. Just about every projection that's been made for solar has been exceeded by reality. I think solar is destined to be the major source of electricity worldwide, and I think Australia will lead the way in that occurring.